upside down, and the private club world certainly has been impacted in some very unique ways. Our world is really much like Success North Dallas. We actually have a very simple purpose, and that is to build relationships and enrich lives. That's the answer to our question, why? Why do we do what we do? That's it. And everything emanates around that core principle of building relationships and enriching lives, which is really what you all do through Success North Dallas. That's what a club is all about. And when Bob Dedman here in Dallas founded Club Corp in 1957, he had a vision for a new kind of club, a club that would invite anyone who wanted to be a member to join. So it wasn't reserved for a certain gender or certain ethnic groups. It was really a club for everyone. And it started right down the street from where we are today at Brookhaven Country Club. And we've grown to 200 clubs. We have 40 city clubs, and the balance are golf and country clubs around the United States. And so, as Bill said, we are the leader in our space, which is a great thing. It's a big responsibility, and we were obviously hit hard because of our size by the pandemic. Just give you a little bit of a chronology as to how we were affected and how we responded to the crisis. We got out in front of this thing pretty early, mainly because I have a stepson who was going to school in Spain, actually, business school. And I was watching what was happening in Italy. And I, realized that, well, if this is happening in Italy, it's probably going to happen here. And so we instructed our IT department to build a work from home plan, which I was told would take a month to construct. And I said, well, we don't have a month. You need to do it in 2 weeks, which the IT team completed. And everybody thought I was crazy because that was the middle of February. And it was actually right around when the first case in the United States was announced. And so, everything unfolded from there, as we all know. And we found ourselves in a situation where we were virtually shut down at many of our clubs. So that then provoked a very difficult decision, which is how do you hang on to your members when they can't use the product, right? And what we devised was something that's been broadly used across the club industry, was a club credit program. So for example, if you couldn't use the clubhouse, you would get credit for a social membership. So let's say that's $150 a month. When the clubhouse reopens, you get to use your accumulated credits for anything that we sell at the club, other than using it for monthly dues. And the reason we did this was because a significant drop in membership, much like Success North Dallas, would have been catastrophic to the organization. So I found myself in a situation I've never been in before, which was to help navigate our company through a very tenuous period where our survival was at stake. I mean, our existence was at stake. So number one, we had to protect the health and safety of our employees and our members. And I'll talk more about that here in a few minutes. Number two, we had to figure out a way to keep our members engaged. And we did that through our dues credits so that it lessened the financial burden of that our members were experiencing, and the fact that they couldn't use the club. In some cases, we closed golf courses. They weren't available for play early in the pandemic. And so we gave those members full credit for all of their dues, which was unprecedented. We'd never done that before. We gave out $60 million in credits. Now, obviously, if those were all used up in 1 month, that would be catastrophic too. So we asked our members to spread the usage of those credits out over the balance of 2020, now that we've reopened. So we had to make that decision in about a week's period of time. Simultaneously, during this closure, we had to cut our operating costs. So on a 12-month run rate basis, our operating expenses are about $1 billion. we cut $500 million of operating costs in 10 days. And that was a matter of survival because we have a high fixed cost business. You got to mow the grass every day, whether you're open or not. You've got certain clubhouse expenses you have to maintain. You've got lease payments you got to make. And you've got fixed costs for payroll that you got to have in place during the closure period. And many of you that run your own businesses can relate to what I'm saying. So we needed the dues line, but we lost all of our private event revenue. And you guys can relate to that because these meetings were held at our clubs. Weddings were held at our clubs. All sorts of celebrations and graduations, all that business evaporated. And that's a high margin business. The outing business pretty much evaporated. That's a high margin business. Guest fees for golf pretty much evaporated. That's a high margin business. So we lost millions and millions of dollars of very high margin revenue. So we had to cut our expenses. So we had to do three things: protect the health and safety of our members and our employees, hang on to our members and prevent a catastrophic increase in attrition, and 3, we had to cut our operating expenses in the most humane way we possibly could. So we ended up furloughing 10,000 people out of 20,000 employees. Half of our workforce we furloughed. We paid their medical benefits. Fortunately, the furlough kept them on our roster and allowed them to receive unemployment benefits. We also launched a program called Feeding Our Families, where every week our clubs prepared a meal for 4 to 6 people for every one of our furloughed employees. They would come and they would pick their meals up and take these meals home. And typically the food would last a couple of days. That kept our employees connected to the club. It made the club feel like they were upholding their responsibility for our furloughed coworkers. And it made our members feel really good that we were taking care of our people during a very, very difficult time. So those moves that we had to make in a very, very short period of time really preserved the survival of Club Corp. I'm happy to say that not only are we going to survive as an organization, I think we'll ultimately be stronger and better on the other side. In the meantime, the member experience has been impacted and changed dramatically, as you can appreciate. Much like your experiences in going out to dinner, if some of you have had that opportunity in the past few weeks as things have started to reopen. Some operators do a sloppy job and give you no confidence that that the environment is clean and safe. We've chosen an alternative path to be stringent in our standards for cleaning and sanitation. We temperature check every employee when they come to work. All of our employees are required to wear masks, front of the house, back of the house. We have rigorous disinfecting requirements for all of our food and beverage areas. In some markets, like in California, we no longer are able to dine inside, so all the dining is outdoors. We are about 86% of last year's a la carte dining volume at our clubs, and that's with only about 50% of indoor capacity available. So what that says is that our members have confidence in what we're doing and are coming back to their clubs, which is their community. It's their safe place. It's their home away from home. The experience while you're at the club is different. The golf experience is different. It's single rider carts. It's social distancing. It's not picking up pin flags. It's not raking bunkers. A lot of things are different, but we have made adjustments. We've accommodated. And fortunately for us, the golf side of our business is robust. Our member rounds are up 30% over last year because it's a safe outdoor experience. And it's a place where you can be with friends and family and you can connect with community. And that's something all of us are starving for after being locked down for such a long period of time. So we're able to fill a very important role in the lives of our members, going back to our purpose, building relationships and enriching lives. We have played a significant role through golf, of all things, in enriching people's lives during this pandemic. Our city clubs, like Tower Dallas and La Cima here in the Dallas marketplace, haven't fared so well. So they're dining clubs at the top of high rises in urban centers. So you can imagine how difficult that business has been, and it's very reliant on private events, banquets, and catering. And that business has really dried up. So that recovery is going to take much longer than the golf and country club or lifestyle club experience. But we're optimistic that eventually it'll come back, but probably not until there's a vaccine. So in the meantime, we are holding our own, and we continue to provide a rich and fulfilling experience for our members. I will say that there were a few unintended outcomes from the crisis. One is the emergence of very robust virtual programming, which I'm sure many of you have experienced. We've had very successful virtual wine tastings. We did a virtual graduation, for example, for all of our members' kids who didn't have the joy of a graduation, including one of my daughters who graduated from Florida State. And so every family sent a picture in with a comment about the child, and we did a video loop, and we had General Dempsey, former chairman of the Joint Chiefs, be our speaker actually for the graduation ceremony. Again, all of which was virtual, and it was incredibly well attended by members all over the country who inevitably had the broadcast in their living room with their small family gathering to celebrate a graduation. We've got a virtual wine tasting with Greg Norman coming up on August 2nd, for example. Fitness classes, cooking classes, recipes, all sorts of unique virtual programming to create engagement for our members while they were at home. So that's one. The second one is we have built a very robust takeout meal business. The family meals that we prepared for our employees on our Feeding Our Families program, we also made available 7 nights a week to our members. And takeout was less than 1% of our total a la carte food and beverage volume before the crisis. It's now 15%. And as the clubs have reopened, that takeout business has remained. So behaviors have changed. People are changing the way they engage with their private clubs. So it's very interesting to see how all of this has unfolded in the private club environment. It's going to be very interesting to see how the whole private event business returns. We have done some weddings. We have some large spaces, so we're able to do a small wedding environment in a socially distant setting, but it's a very, very small amount of business compared to what the business has been. I will say that 2021 and 22 are going to be very robust because we've moved most of our canceled events. 70% of our canceled events have moved into 2021, which is interesting. So it's going to be very interesting to see how that all unfolds. So that's really the COVID-19 story for Club Corp and for the club business. I wanted to comment on another very important development in our private clubs, and one I think that's important for all of America, and that is what's happened with the George Floyd murder and the awareness or awakening around social injustice and diversity in the workplace. I always thought of myself as being pretty progressive. I went to Berkeley. I've got a lot of friends who are minorities. I have 4 daughters, and I like to think I'm fairly aware around gender issues and so forth. And so when the social unrest emerged around the George Floyd murder, I put out a video to our employees articulating our position as a company on systemic racism and social injustice. Very simple. And I thought it was important for us to take a stand and be consistent with our core values as an organization. And what happened was something I didn't expect. I got first emails, and then I asked the people from these emails, minorities who sent me these stories that were shocking, stunning, sad, chilling. And I'm embarrassed to say they were so shocking, because if I was more aware, I wouldn't have been so shocked. And so I asked these employees if I could call them. And I proceeded for the next couple of weeks to talk to our team members who were minorities, mostly Black, but also Asian American and women. And I was just taken aback by what I learned and by the experiences these individuals have lived with, not only in our company, but in their lives. I will tell you, for example, I met with 7 African-American men from ages 24 to 56. 7 out of 7 had had either a gun pulled on them by a police officer or had been handcuffed and thrown to the pavement. Not 2 out of 7, 7 out of 7 in their lifetime. I was shocked by that. And the fact that I was shocked by that made me realize that I wasn't very aware. So I set out to try and do something in our company to make a difference. And so what we decided to do, which we kicked off last week, we did a conference call with 350 of our minority teammates, women, and all different ethnic groups that are in leadership positions, supervisor and above. And we described a survey that we wanted to send out. And I told them the objective of this journey that we are on was to start by raising the awareness of our leadership team here in Dallas. And the way you raise awareness is through education. And education is about listening and understanding the stories through the eyes of those people that are living the experience. And so that's what we're doing. So the surveys are being completed now, and each individual will opt in to a program where each of our senior VPs and above are going to call 5 minorities on our leadership team and hear their stories. And my goal is to take the inertia that I feel, that I think they will all feel once they hear these stories, and translate that into specific tactical plans that we will deploy to improve diversity among our members and improve diversity among our employees. And I believe that if every company does a little bit, like I think we can do, it will make America a better place and a better country. So I wanted to share that because I think it's important, and I think it's important that every organization do what they can to try and make America better and try and eradicate systemic racism and social injustice, which just doesn't have a place in a country that's built around liberty and freedom. So we've had a lot in the last few months to deal with, and that's just the latest thing. And I think what's going to happen is, from the adversity of COVID-19, from the adversity around George Floyd and what we've experienced as a country, we as an organization and as a gathering place for people at our clubs, we're going to be better. We're going to be stronger, and we're going to flourish, I think, going forward, in large part because of what we've learned from the enormous adversity we have been through here over the last few months. So again, I feel humbled and honored to be here with all of you, and to hear about all you've accomplished is incredible. And our little part of the world where we impact people's lives through our clubs, I think is meaningful. I'm really actually excited about our future. Once we got past the question of survival, I got pretty excited about looking forward and thinking about what we can become by getting better through this crisis. So with that, Bill, I'll just turn it over to you, and I guess maybe some Q&A.
First of all, if you have the opportunity, they've remodeled the Tower Club, and it is awesome in downtown Dallas. Go by and take a tour, and I'd encourage you as well. Prestonwood Country Club, I know you're have a whole lot of surprises coming up for us from what you've said in terms of new things. They already have put $13 million into the two clubs, and I understand they're going to put a considerable and more in terms of other improvements. But do yourself a favor, go by and take a tour. It's our home. It's our home, and they love on us, and we love on them. And the new club manager, Scott, introduce yourself to him. He's just phenomenal. But from the standpoint of having been marketing director for the National Speakers Association, North Texas, and speaking all over the U.S., I cannot tell you the number of times the email has popped up that we're delaying that event you were speaking at. We're moving this to 2021.
Yeah.
Not, and so I can only imagine, but I want to compliment in terms of what I watched happen, in terms of your employees. There were a number of our members that were actually buying the dinners to pick up and telling you to go have an employee come pick it up. And I was very pleased when I heard that. But the way you pivoted, and I hate that word, and I still use it, but the way you pivoted has been unbelievable. In terms of expansion, what do you see on the horizon? I know you had expansion plans and acquisition plans made before COVID-19. What do you see on the horizon for Club Corp?
Well, I think there's a lot of opportunity coming our way. Unfortunately, I don't think many clubs will fare as well as we have. I think there's going to be a lot of distress in the private club space, which will give us an opportunity to grow, because I think we can solve a lot of problems for clubs that are experiencing distress because they lost their high margin private event business, for example. So I think we're going to see significant expansion opportunities. Meanwhile, we are doubling down and investing in our core business. We added TPC Craig Ranch up in North Dallas.
The Byron Nelson. I can't believe it.
We landed the Byron Nelson, which we're really excited about for a couple of reasons. One, it's going to be wonderful to make TPC Craig Ranch and McKinney a global stage for the best players in the world. But more importantly, we're going to raise millions of dollars for the Momentous Institute, which is a life-changing organization that is the primary beneficiary of the Salesmanship Club's fundraising efforts. And so that's part of who we are. I mean, we're an extension of the community, and this really just kind of solidifies our place at TPC Craig Ranch as a catalyst to drive improvements in our communities through the work that the Momentous Institute does. And we're investing more at all of our other Dallas clubs and our clubs across the country because we believe in the vision and the platform and the business. And we see more and more members joining our clubs right now because people they gravitate to what's comfortable, what's safe, and what's familiar. And that's what a private club is. It's like your organization here. I mean, we know each other, we're comfortable with each other, and we want to be around each other.
Well, and as I go back, one of my key things when we created Success North Dallas was to make it a safe place. A safe place where you can come and be you. And that's the way I feel when I go into Prestonwood. That's the way I feel when I go into Stonebriar, which is now in my backyard. Yeah. It's been amazing. Okay, let's jump out. Do we have if you have a question, you can't raise your hand on this one, but all right, Randy Mayhew.
David, first of all, thank you very much for your full report. You had to act quickly. I have two questions. Number one, it sounds like that you're saying that clubs with golf are going to fare better with the clubs that are at top of buildings. And so that concerns a lot of us in terms of the activities we do there. And I guess that leads into the second question. You said that things really aren't going to get better until we get a vaccine. And we're not going to get a vaccine fully tested and fully distributed until at least next year. And that's if things go well. So do you see the long-term problem really being, I don't know how to word this. How do you keep optimism in the midst of the many more months we have before this can really be settled?
No, it's a great question. I mean, ironically, the City Club business is a relatively small part of our overall portfolio. And I say it's ironic because it's a business that I'm really excited about. I love that business. And Tower Dallas, we've got our new Big Shots concept, which is our Top Golf competitor. We've got an indoor Big Shots experience in Tower Dallas on the 48th floor. And we're doing that at our other City Clubs. And we're really bullish about the City Club business long-term. And it's ironic because, if you looked at our business a year ago, the outside world thought that golf was the least sexy part of our business, and they love the City Club business. Yeah. Well, now the City Club business is basically gone for the time being, and golf has exploded. So now that business is much more attractive. So it's amazing how things change in a very short period of time. So I maintain optimism because the largest part of our business is around Golf and Country Club, which fundamentally is healthy. Membership activity our membership sales are 130% of prior year. So the fundamentals of that part of the business are actually quite sound. And the crisis has actually improved that business because it's made people realize how important it is to connect in a safe place. So more and more people are pursuing membership in lifestyle clubs, golf and country clubs than did before. Less optimistic, maybe pessimistic on the City Club side, because to your point, until there's a vaccine, you're not going to see, in my view, large-scale private event business return. And that is the primary driver of what makes a City Club economics work, is the private event business. So we're just going to have to hunker down, get very creative. We're trying lots of different things. Not much has worked, frankly, in our City Clubs. Our attrition is, in some cases, 30, 40% membership attrition, which is catastrophic. In Golf and Country Club, it's 0.6% worse than it was last year. That's it.
That's unbelievable.
It's unbelievable. It's because of the dues credits. It's because of the service. It's because of the magic of connection. It's worked. Thank goodness, because that was the key to survival, right? But not so much on the City Club. So it's going to be a long road on the City Club side of the business, which does not speak well to urban real estate leasing. Right. It's going to be a very tough environment for quite a while.
Thanks.
It's interesting because I speak on networking, mentoring, connecting, and success. And I've had more requests to speak on the networking side of it, on the access side of it, because truly access is the coin of the realm. No matter how great your product is, that's right. Without access, you have nothing. No matter how great you are, without access, you have nothing. And I see you going down this access course, and it's amazing what I've seen. And then you look at Meeting Planners International. They came out 45 days ago, said we've canceled every event for 2021, not 2021.
That's incredible.
So,
wow.
And those are the meeting planners, their own events. So I'm sure they'll take a step back on that, but this is what we're seeing in the marketplace. But to this time, I have been busier than the last 90 days than I have in the last 5 years. because a dear friend of mine put it this way: today's obstacles are today's opportunities. While most sit on the sidelines waiting for tomorrow, the leaders lead today. And Success North Dallas is a group of leaders, Club Corp is a group of leaders. And I love what I'm seeing. I want to know just a little bit more about the Big Shots experience. And you said Topgolf's big competitor. So how did you end up aligning with them and bringing them in? Where's the innovation in this? Where are you going?
So in 2018, actually about 6 months after I joined the company, we bought the Big Shots technology, because I believe that alternative golf technology was going to be a very important part of our future. And since then, we have worked to scale the business. So we're building our first center out in Fort Worth. You'll see it, Big Shots. It's under construction. You see the poles going up. It'll be open in November. We have one in Vero Beach, Florida, which was the first generation. And we've got one that we'll be announcing in South Florida shortly. We've already announced Bryan, Texas, which is going to be Big Shots Aggieland, which is exciting. And we've got one up in Firestone that we're going to be building starting probably in about 3 months. Our great destination property at Firestone Country Club up in Akron, Ohio. And the goal is to have 7 or 8 of these open by the end of 2022. We have another one under construction in Missouri. So this is a very important part of our future, which is really about creating a community gathering place around amazing food. Food is actually the core. It's actually a fantastic culinary experience with a golf technology wraparound is the way we look at it. And that's very different than Topgolf. The center of Topgolf isn't food. It's actually not.
It is not food.
It's actually not very good, in my opinion. Our food is going to be amazing, because what we want community people to do is to say, I want to go there to eat. And if I can go get a bay and play some of the games, that's great. But the food's amazing, and I'm going to come here just to dine for the culinary experience. So it's based here in Dallas now. We've moved it all here. We've got a CEO named Tony Wayner who is building this out for us. And we're going to spend about $30 million here over the next